Hi folks, it's Andy. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I've decided to make a quick video for you. I know I haven't put out as much content as I would have liked to have over the last week or two. So I have got more instructional videos coming soon. I've got the final installment of Kendo 0 to Shodan, and I've got more planned as we go ahead as well into the future. Of course, you know, they take a lot of work, so they take longer than anything else. But I am keep putting out Kendo rant, and I am doing my best to bring some more like analysis and translation videos to you as well. But what this one is today is it's something that's been on my mind quite a lot recently. And it's something that people ask me about quite a lot as well. People ask me a lot about, they ask me about how Kendo makes you a better person and how it can affect your daily life. As that, of course, is the purpose of Kendo. The purpose of practicing Kendo is to cultivate the human character through the application of the principles of the katana, the Japanese sword. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about how I think some key principles in Kendo, specifically some that actually tie in with like the hakama, funnily enough, and how they are good examples of how Kendo, not the only examples, but how Kendo can influence your daily life and help you grow as a person. So I've got a bit of a slideshow. It's not a complicated one or a flashy one or anything like that. It's just so I've got some visual prompts really, so as I'm talking, so we know what we're talking about. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so here we are. How Kendo makes you a better person, and that's of course the title of this video. And basically, I'm just throwing these thoughts out there. I might change my opinion on this as I progress through my own Kendo journey, but this is kind of, I guess this is just where I'm at right now with the sort of experiences that I've had up to this point, and how I believe that Kendo does make you a better person, can make you a better person if you let it. So let's begin. So I want to talk about Gojyou. Gojyou is it's concept from Confucianism actually, but in a Kendo context, it's often the pleats of the hakama are ascribed these values from, like I say, from the teachings of Confucianism. But I think they're really, it's only something I started thinking about recently. But I think they're really nice, and I think they give or illustrate what I'm talking about really quite well. So let's look at them one at a time, and then we'll look at them sort of how I think they apply to Kendo, and then how that spills out into everyday life. So we've got Jin, which is compassion, or benevolence, sometimes called. These are my own translations, so they could be a little bit different to what other people might translate them as. Gi, morality, sometimes justice. Nei, gratitude, or sometimes etiquette as well, manners. But I think that's I think gratitude covers it as much. Chi is just wisdom, or knowledge, and Shin, which is honesty. So there we go. Jin, Gi, Nei, Chi, Shin. So I think these concepts are really, obviously really important. Of course they are. But I think they manifest an awful lot in Kendo. And if we take that to our daily life, we'll definitely grow as a person. We'll definitely become a happier I think, and a happier and probably more productive member of society. At least that's what I'm trying to do. So if we start from the left and sort of work through them, but these are all very kind of intermingled concepts, aren't they? You know, compassion, you know, the regard for others and gratitude, and for example, they're very, very intertwined. Morality as well. I mean, they all work in and out of each other. So it's not necessarily right to just say, well, here's an example of Jin and here's an example of Qi, because they kind of represent each other at the same time in a lot of cases. But for example, I mean, what I did is I actually wrote some notes before recording this, but I'm not sure if they're going to make sense as I articulate them. But like Jin, compassion, it's about caring for others. You know, in Kendo, how you don't do Kendo alone. It's about growing together. There's a great Japanese saying. It's not Kendo specific, but it says it's called sessa takuma, which is to work hard together towards something. And in Kendo, it's very much that, isn't it? It's not just you on your own. It's very much working together as we raise each other up. And caring for others, and it can be something simple, really physical, like just checking your shinai, checking your equipment, making sure that everything's safe. It can be like if you're at a grading, or if you're at a keiko even, you know, like if you're at a grading, and you must have seen it before when you're at a grading, and the person before you, or someone else who's grading that day. Some people do, some people don't, but like maybe their himo is not tied properly or something like this. Hey, you know, and you help them out with that. I think that's a really good example of Jin. Things like cleaning the dojo. Some dojo clean or sweep the floors beforehand and afterwards. You know, that sort of thing that's really helping each other, not just experience Kendo, but like progress in Kendo, I think is really, really huge. Another one that's a little bit more obscure is caring for yourself as a way of caring for others. I know that sounds really abstract, but you have to care for yourself in order to adequately care for others. And you also have to, so that means you have to care for your health, for example. You have to care about your health. You have to make sure that you're not irresponsible with your health. Try to keep in good shape. Try not to do something that's likely to cause yourself an injury or something like that, because that's going to cause a lot of trouble for not just you, but for lots of people. Yeah. So there's an element of that as well. I know this is probably a very Eastern way of thinking. It's certainly very prevalent in Japanese, the concept of meiwaku, which is to disturb or to cause a nuisance. But it is, you know, if you know, I've had injuries in the dojo, and it disrupted things. It disrupted the practice. It affected a lot of people, and I caused that meiwaku to a lot of people. So. Caring for yourself, caring for your appearance. In Kendo, we really care about our appearance, don't we? Our chakuso, you should anyway, whether our himo are tied properly and they're the right length, and we're wearing everything correctly, and we look nice and neat and tidy, so that when we perform Kendo, it looks nice. That's part of the respect for others as well. It's how they're going to. You're kind of subjecting them to your appearance. So, you know, that's something else that is part of Jin, I think. And these things, I think all of these do spill out to daily life as well. These are things that definitely do spill out into that, you know, helping other people when they need your help. And not like for the sake of bragging rights or something like that, or look everybody how much I'm helping everyone. I mean, like, just genuinely doing it for the sake of other people, and respecting others as well, and caring for other people, no matter who they are. You know, obviously people from all different places, people have all different ways of thinking, people have lots of different opinions, but we still have to care for each other. And that's the same in Kendo. There's people who do all sorts of different types of Kendo. It's still Kendo, but, you know, to say like, oh, I don't like that person because I don't like his Kendo is not right. Yeah. So that carries to daily life. I don't like that person because, I don't know, he likes bananas, I don't like bananas, something like that. I know, no, but you could take that to a more extreme example, right? And of course, caring for your health, like I said, it's not just in the dojo that I caused meiwaku when I injured myself. I caused difficulties for my family, and for other people that had to care for me whilst I was recovering from my injury. That's definitely part of it. And of course, your appearance as well. It's not just Kendo where you have to subject others to your appearance. You have to care about that, and show them enough respect that you go to that effort for them in a way, if that makes sense. Gi, this is a really interesting concept of morality, or justice. Justice is a good way to think of it. The word seigi in Japanese means justice, which is just this kanji with another kanji in front of it that means correct. And this is really tough. It's really tough, but it's also really important, and it really exists in Kendo a lot because you have to really practice Kendo earnestly and practice it really honestly. You have to behave honestly, and I know we've got honesty as one there, and that's why I think these two tie in with each other very, very much, because it's about you have to do what you have to do. Without being selfish or greedy. So you don't just like, oh, well, I like doing jigeko, I like doing kata, so I'll just do that. You have to do what's required of you in order to correctly pursue Kendo. And I think that's also something else that exists in everyday life, at your job or whatever else, could be school, whatever. There's lots of things you have to do that you don't want to do. But they have to be done. You can't just chase what you want. Obviously, it's not incorrect to want things or want something or want to improve in Kendo or want something else, but to just focus on that and say, well, I don't care about any of that, I'm just going to do what I want. That isn't the right way to go about it. And of course, you can't really be greedy about stuff, So I think that's important. I think that definitely is something that Kendo helps us to develop. No doubt about it, because you have to really put yourself through tough things in Kendo, and I hope that Kendo can provide for you, as it does for me, the ability to, in your daily life, to kind of look back on that and think, well, in Kendo, I was able to push myself here and push myself there and strive for this and strive for that, and be strict on myself and not succumb to my greed. So yeah, I think that's a really important point. Dei is a word we use a lot in Kendo, don't we? We say dei to bow. Yeah, because that it also means that, and it's the same kanji as well, because it does mean etiquette as well as gratitude, but it's kind of intertwined, that, isn't it? Kind of etiquette and gratitude. It's expressing gratitude, isn't it? When you do the day to your partner or to your opponent, it's an expression of gratitude as much as anything else. It's not just a formality; it's an expression of gratitude, and it's not a physical action. It is a physical action doing the bow, but actually you have to feel it as well. I think that's really important. I think when you enter the dojo, you do the bow to the shomen. I think it's important to feel gratitude, especially like at the moment. I'm filming this, and like if you're watching this in the future, like I'm filming this in like 2020. I hope things are better in the future. That gratitude for being able to practice is real. And you mustn't forget that. So you have to show the proper etiquette. You have to go through the proper motions, but you have to feel it as well when you're giving the day towards your partner, thank you for practicing with me. Please teach me. Because, that's everyone. There's a saying, isn't there, in Kendo as well, that everyone is a teacher. There's something to learn from everyone, and there's no bad opponents. There's, if you get hit, even if they do something you're not used to or is unusual, it's wrong to say, well, their Kendo's rubbish, that's why they hit me. I'm just not used to that kind of weird Kendo. There's a hole in your defenses. They've shown you that, and in that sense, they've been your teacher. And you have to, in Kendo, we have in the West, it's not, in Europe at least, in my experience, the Joge Kanke, which is the sort of social hierarchy that exists in Japan as a society as a whole, isn't as rigid as it is in Japan. However, it still exists very much in Kendo, and it's a very important and integral part of Kendo. You respect your seniors, and your juniors respect and look up to you. And that it doesn't mean you disrespect your juniors, though. That's very important. It just means that those who are your senpai or your sensei are respected as such. And that's part of this day. Reflecting on your success and being grateful for your failures. Utte hanse utarete kansha, they say in Japanese. So strike and reflect, receive strikes, be struck, and be grateful. When you make the strike, not just, yes, I'm so great, but reflect, be considerate of how that happened, how you can improve. And when you receive the strike, this is the really important part, is to be grateful. Arigatou gozaimashita, marimashita, benkyou narimashita. And I became study for me. I was able to improve from that, because failure is a teacher. So yeah, and of course, to take care of your stuff. Be grateful for the stuff you've got, your boga, your dogi, your hakama, your shinai. Obviously I work at a company I own a company that sells kit, but I'm not personally a craftsman, but there are craftsmen involved in making that kit for us to use. And we should be grateful for their efforts, for their ability, for their skills, and respect them by treating their work with dignity and respect. So don't just treat your boga with abandon. Just care about, you have to care about it, and look after it. And this is stuff, again, this is the same outside of the dojo, right? This is the same. You have to treat people with respect and dignity, even if, like I say, in Kendo, there's no bad aite, there's no bad opponent. It's better to have that approach on a daily basis, because there's things in the world, and I accept that this could become a controversial point, but there's things in the world that people vastly disagree on. But it's rare that people are, and it's not unheard of. And of course, it's not that nobody is, but it's rare that people are doing it from malicious intent. Most people think the things they think, or whatever it is, whether it's religious beliefs or political beliefs or whatever. So, societal beliefs, whatever. Most people have these because they have good intentions somewhere. Or whatever they may be. And just because they happen to be different to the ones that you hold yourself, it's easy to turn that into that equals that's a bad person. Just like that person was only able to strike me because his kendo is bad. So it's better to respect and understand and care for, and this goes back to Jin, doesn't it? Even if there are people that are vastly different from us, whether they're from other cultures or from different religious beliefs or political persuasions or whatever, I think it's rare that people have got. I think it's rare enough that people have malicious intent to assume that the people that you're interacting with, even if they have a different opinion, aren't acting out of malicious intent. So that's what I think there. Keeping things tidy, like we keep things tidy at the dojo, and you look after your stuff, you have to take that into your daily life as well. It's not just Borga that someone's gone to the effort of providing for you, okay? So, look after your stuff, treat stuff with dignity and respect, and, care about others when you're using communal areas, okay? This is something I see an awful lot, especially since I've returned to Europe. But things like, if you're in a communal area, if you use a public toilet, don't leave it as a mess. That's gross. But don't do that, leave it at least as clean as you found it. At least. Cleaner if you can. Stuff like, like I go to a gym, for example, and at the gym, in the changing room, sometimes people will go in the showers and they'll leave their clothes all over the changing room. They'll have their coat here, their shoes over here, and their shoes are all over the place, and everything's just strewn around like a teenager's bedroom. And it's like, we're all supposed to be adults here, respecting each other's existence, and that doesn't put itself across, and don't leave rubbish anywhere either. If you can't find somewhere to put something in a bin, take it with you. Don't just leave it wherever you want. I've seen that a lot, and I've seen that at Kendo too. Don't do that. If you go to, if you're at Kendo, don't leave water bottles in Dojo. Don't leave empty food packets. Don't leave contact lens cases in sinks. That's something I see everywhere. Don't do that. Yeah, just get rid of your own stuff. And this is going to be a controversial one, but this is something I picked up in Japan, and it's quite a big thing. But I think I really do think this comes down to gratitude. But like I said about taking care of your kit, the stuff that people have enacted the effort of providing for you, it goes for food as well. Like, don't throw food away. Like, if don't buy loads of food and then throw half it away. Like, buy what you think you'll eat and then eat all of it. And if you get served food and there's something that isn't your favorite food, eat it anyway. Because it's not poison, and it's not there to be thrown away. It's not there to decorate your plate. Someone's enacted the effort of providing that for you, whether it's the person that's prepared the food, cooked the food, or even the farmer or whatever that's done it. I mean, in Japan, it's polite to eat every grain of rice in your rice bowl. You shouldn't leave a single grain of rice, as a mark of respect towards the farmers. And I really think that that's a good way to approach life, And I know, like, a really Western way of thinking of it is like, well, I paid for it, it's mine, I can throw it away if I want. And I get it, I do get it, but it's not the point. What we're talking about here is cultivating oneself, and not being selfish. And it's not necessarily selfish in that respect, but, food is like, you need your food, obviously, to survive. And there's people that don't have it, of course, or not enough. But, you should just eat your food, all right? Next one. Cheat wisdom. I think this is interesting, really important as well. It's a little bit different to the others, though, right? Because the others are talking about the way you act, and this wisdom is about what you know or what you've learned. So this is a somewhat deep, not deeper, but it's just a bit of a different concept, right? But like in Kendo, you should be striving to understand the teachings of Kendo as much as you can, so that you can progress, and and you can be a good example to others. Yeah, your juniors. Remember we talked about the Joge Kanke relationship. Those juniors that are going to be looking up to you. So you have a responsibility to acquire knowledge and wisdom, so that you can do that properly. Yeah, that's the same in life, right? That's the same in life. You can't just, you know, try and get by. You always have to be trying to improve yourself. You have to try and gain more knowledge, and not necessarily so that other people can look up to you, but at some point that is going to be important as well, especially if you especially have kids or something, you know. It's something I'm very conscious of. Like I've got kids, so leading as an example is very important to me. And even though, and I'm talking about stuff sometimes that's like stuff that I'm not very good at. You know, I was never good at languages, but I still increased my knowledge to understand Japanese. Stuff like that. Yeah. But also, I think what wisdom is here in the terms of chi is like, it's also acting and thinking with logic and reason. And in Kendo, you know, making sure that your actions have some element of reason or rationale. And that's why we have the concept of DI, don't we? DI, the actual rationale, the reason for why something happens in Kendo, why a particular strike is considered Yuko Datotsu, and it's logical. There's no mysterious stuff in it. It's logical. So yeah, that's really important, and that also means that like you know, you don't just favor a single thing that you're good at, and it's really tempting to do that. You know, and it's something that happens, I reckon, like in the sort of second, third dan area, lots of people tend to find one waza that works a lot, and then they just spam that everywhere. And then they stop progressing for a long time because they're just repeating that one waza that they've managed to kind of refine a bit and get to work. But then they hit a wall because they're not able to deal with more complicated encounters. And again, this is stuff that works in real life as well, doesn't it? In your everyday life, you know, you have to approach problems with logic. You have to think. You don't just guess. You have to think it through, think about what the potential solutions might be. And you have to try and expand your horizons somewhat. You know, don't just stick to what you know, stick to what you're good at. But like I say, I wasn't good at languages. There's lots of things that I'm not good at, but I've kind of over the years tried, you know, Kendo's taught me that you have to try to improve the things that you're not good at as well as the things that you are, so that you can become well-rounded. I really think that's a big thing. And then finally, Shin, honesty. So, of course, that's extremely important. Yeah. Being truthful in the pursuit of Kendo. It's really pertinent, actually, to Kendo improvement, is honesty. And when I say that, the person you have to be the most honest with is with yourself. You are your own opponent in Kendo. You are trying to improve rather than trying to achieve victory over others. The opponent's not someone there to be destroyed or smashed out of the way or anything like that. The real opponent is yourself. You have to constantly examine yourself, examine your actions, examine your waza, examine your keiko, and be honest. Was that good enough? What else needs to improve? What else can I improve? It's very easy to look to blame other people. Like I said earlier, oh, that guy only hit me because his Kendo's weird. Or like, well, it's not my fault. I had a rough day at work today, and my boss did my head in. So, don't you've gotta take that responsibility on yourself, and don't lie about it to yourself, which is easy to do. To say, well, I've been doing a lot of Kendo recently, and it won't matter if I just I just miss one kick, or it's all fine. I mean, of course, look, there's times when you can't go to the keiko, but sometimes you're just kind of making excuses for yourself, isn't it? When you don't really feel up for it. Happens to me all the time anyway. And you have to fight against that. You have to fight against that and try and overcome it, so that, you can stay on that straight and narrow. And that's, I think the whole concept of that is just exactly the same as anything else in life. It's not just Kendo, is it? It could apply to your work, it could apply to your study, it could apply to anything, your relationships. It's about and all of these things actually, compassion, caring for others, not being selfish, not being greedy, not being judgmental, continually being respectful and grateful for the experiences that you're having, even if they're not the ones that you necessarily want to have, and looking to improve your own self, improve your knowledge, and then that's it. I mean, it's a bit of a ramble, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about some other stuff. I'm really inspired by some of the things that Alec Bennett Sensei talks about. There's loads of videos out there on YouTube and stuff of him talking about it, but particularly his some of his talks on the concept of Zanshin. Zanshin being the kind of remain in spirit, or kind of mental preparedness, and I think that's something else that really affects everyday life as well. The sort of unfettered kind of spirit that you kind of have to approach daily life with. And like I say, these Gojyou, these 5 concepts, these come from Confucianism, but there's more as well. I know there's like the what do you call it, like the principles of Bushido and stuff like that. But I haven't really looked into that as far. But they talk about things like courage, which of course is something else that in Kendo we have to deal with. We have to learn. Courage is like, being courageous is it's not going out and fighting lions. It is, but it's fighting the lions that are in your mind or in your heart when you're down on the line, and you're getting pressure from your opponent, and he's gonna hit you, and you don't know what you want to hit him, and you don't quite know how this is going to turn out, but at some point you're going to have to bite the bullet and go, but you have to also hold your horses, and not yet, and now, bam, and then without hesitation, when that chance arises, when that chance is made, without hesitation, with full stem, throw everything away and be courageous, and bam, just jump in with both feet. And that's something that definitely I think is a benefit, and it's something that I think in everyday life Kendo can really help you with. And I know, everyday stuff takes courage. Everyday stuff. Some people are a little bit more find it easier to do some basic stuff, and some people don't. Some people feel anxious about putting fuel in the car, because they have to interact with people that they don't know, and they don't have to, and that's part of life that we have to do. So we have to be courageous so that we can do that, yeah. And I think every one of us, whatever that sort of metric is, for each of us individually, we're going to face situations where we're going to have to muster some courage and face the thing we don't want to do. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm starting to ramble now, but Kendo does help you. Helps you a lot if you let it. But I think you have to also consider, you have to ask yourself in your daily life, am I doing this? Am I acting in the right way? Am I representing what Kendo is teaching me? And I'll leave you one last story, okay? One last story that highlighted this to me in the beginning, and it was when I was like, I just got married. Well, not long been married. My daughter was a baby, and I remember my wife and I were staying in a hotel in Japan. I remember us walking into the hotel room, and I kind of just kicked my shoes off into the corner and just sat on the bed. And my wife shouted at me immediately. Not shouted, but told me off, scolded me immediately and said, "Well, why are you leaving your shoes in a mess? I thought you did Kendo." And I'd completely just had the mindset of not, that was just a dojo thing, but it's not. It's a daily thing. Yeah. Compassionate, morality, gratitude, wisdom, honesty. Let's do our best. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed the ramble, I know it wasn't super coherent, but I wanted to put something out there that was on my mind about stuff. But if you liked what I do, don't forget to support us by shopping at KendoStar. It's my website, of course. Belongs to me. It's amazing Kendo gear. We're brilliant. You know that. So, yeah. Go and shop there. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye-bye.